So I just wanted to take a quick second to apologize for how I look in this video. I know you guys don't care and you're super awesome, but I'm not okay with how I look in this video. I don't like my hair or really my makeup or anything about it. I was super uncomfortable with it, but this was really hard for me to film, so I just rolled with it instead of trying to refilm. Thanks, guys.
Not clickbait. In fact, what I put the title as is probably downplaying what actually happened quite a bit. People should see this. It's funny how some people are like, oh, I don't do it for the views, and it's like, so what, you just make videos for your mom and your grandma to watch? I don't understand. It is for the views. And in this instance, of course, it's for the views, but maybe in a slightly different way. I feel like a lot of people don't even consider what happened to me to be possible. They never think of that it could happen to them or to their children. And the fact is, it can, and it does. Probably a lot more than you think. So I want as many people to see this as possible so they can be better prepared next time their family goes on vacation. Just so we know each other, my name is Brooke, and I am turning 23 in a month and a half. And I don't even know what to say. I live in Minnesota. When I was 12, I went on vacation with my family, and my family doesn't really know that this happened. I mean, my mom and dad know, but I don't know if the rest of them do. And I think as a common courtesy, I should probably tell them that it happened before this goes up, but I'm too scared to, so I might not. So if you're watching this and your family, sorry that I didn't give you a warning. Let's get into the video. When I was 12, I went on vacation to Cozumel, Mexico with my family. And I've been to Mexico several times. I love Mexico. I think it's fun as hell. And when somebody wants to go on vacation, that's my first thought. Like, let's go to Mexico. I've been there multiple times after this. But this was my first time being out of the country. I was really excited. And I was there with my parents and my brother and his girlfriend at the time. They weren't married yet. And my grandma was there too, I believe, and her husband. Yeah, they were there as well. So anyway, let's get into the meat and potatoes. I'm sorry this is taking me so long. Number one, this happened quite some time ago, 10 years ago. And number two, it's not the most fun thing for me to talk about. And I've talked about a lot of stuff on here that is questionable, you know, a lot of stuff that people were like, do not put that online. And I put it online because I want to be as authentic as possible. When people do things wrong, or when people are having a bad time or go through a bad situation, they don't talk about it online because it makes it seem like they're not perfect. And that's just nonsense. That's bullshit. I think that we should all talk about our struggles as much as we feel comfortable. And I've got really bad anxiety problems, and one thing that helps me is talking them out. So, please don't judge me for like putting this on the internet. But if you do judge me, I'm sure there are a lot of things I could judge you for, so I mean, it's all good. Anyways, so we went to an all-inclusive resort. It was fancy. It was nice. It had a swim-up bar, and we were right on the ocean. And there were tons of restaurants that we could eat at, all inclusive. Like any time of the day I could be like, I'd like a virgin pina colada and some chicken wings. Like that was all day long. And it was so much fun. Like it was awesome. And they had so many like really cool activities that we could do. This is weird to talk about because I have filmed this video before, like 2 years ago. And his name was Raphael. I'm gonna say that because fuck you, Raphael. Fuck you.
So as you can see, I am definitely a lot more angry in this video as it was filmed a couple of years ago, and so that's one of the reasons why I wanted to refilm instead of just uploading this old footage.
I filmed this video with every intention of uploading it, and then I never did. Because I don't know why. I really don't know why. I don't have a problem telling like the whole internet, but I do have a problem telling specific people in my family, and I don't know why. But there were these people who worked at the hotel, and they were the activity people. And so they were in charge of like when somebody did volleyball on the beach, like they coordinated that whole event and like they played with everybody, or when there was like a drinking game in the pool, they were in charge of that, or like water aerobics, they did that. And it was just like these young 20-something, good-looking locals who worked at the hotel who were the activity people. They also worked in this theater that was part of the all-inclusive, and they put on different shows and different plays every single night. So they were busy people, but it was a lot of fun. And the first night that we got there, we saw the activity group because like they were everywhere all the time. They were just running around the whole resort, trying to make all of us tourists happy. And there was this one guy who I thought was just so cute, like so dreamy, and his name was Raphael. And Raphael was one of the young adults who were in charge of all the activities. And my whole family knew that I thought he was cute. I was very open about that kind of thing. I've always been like too honest and too open about stuff. And I thought that he was hot as hell. And I like even wrote in my diary, I tried to find this diary before. My dog is walking around under the camera. I tried to find this diary entry before filming this video and I could not. But knew that was coming. I wrote in my diary how cute he was and how much I liked him and how I wonder if he noticed me, I wonder if he liked me, and just all that stuff, you know, that a 12-year-old writes. And I like doodled his name the best way I knew how to spell it and like all that. And I remember like watching them perform in that theater and being like, oh my God, he sings and dances. That's so cool. He's so hot. And yeah. And every activity that he was in charge of, we tried to be there because like my family knew I had a crush on him, and like, you know, it was just fun. Like me and my dad did volleyball on the beach. Me and my mom went to like a night dance on the beach, and then we did a bunch of pool activities, and it was super fun. Me and my mom did water aerobics with him in the mornings, and it wasn't just him. It was like him and two other people, like another girl and another guy, or like two other girls or whatever. Okay, so this is so weird. Don't you dare. It's uncomfortable for me. My family saw this dude a lot, and they always were like, ooh, Raphael, like whatever, like to me in private, and I'd be like, oh my gosh, you guys stop, because you know I'm in middle school. And long story short, this guy started giving me like some special attention. Keep in mind, I had braces at this time. I was like 5'2". I was a kid, and you could tell that I was a kid. It wasn't like I looked like this. I looked like a 12-year-old kid. Okay. So he started giving me like extra special attention when nobody was around, or like when people weren't really paying attention, or when people were too drunk to really notice. And I loved it. I was like, this is so cool. This guy likes me. He's an older man, like blah, blah, blah. And one night, me and my mom were at this beach dance that I mentioned earlier. And it was so much fun. And it was just me and my mom. My mom was pretty intoxicated by this point because, you know, it's nighttime. We're on vacation, vacation in Mexico. And it was one of our last days, if not like the day before we left. And so I'm dancing or whatever, and like I was bold, okay? I was very bold. There was this other boy there that I liked or thought it was cute or whatever. And he was 17, he told me. And he was dancing in like a circle with his mom and his sister, and his mom and his sister were like, "Ooh, go dance." And he was like, "No, I don't really want to," because like we were in this dance circle, right? And they wanted him to get in the middle and dance. And he was like, "No, I'll just be right here." And I walked from the other side of the circle to him, grabbed his hands, pulled him into the circle, and I was like, "You dance now." And then like we danced and stuff, and we danced for another song after that until he found out I was 12. Then he walked away from me, and I didn't see him again for the rest of the night, but my mom did. She saw him talking to his mom and his sister, saying, "Oh my god, she's 12, that's so gross, I didn't know she was 12, and I was dancing with her," which is what the proper reaction should have been for somebody who was 13 or older to be like, "Oh, she's 12. This guy, the 17-year-old, bless his cute heart, had the right reaction. I was still pretty like disappointed, but I also thought it was funny. I was like, he thought I was older. I danced with Raphael that night too. He was dancing around with like a lot of people. All of the activity people were like mingling and dancing and like cha-chaing or whatever it is they do. And he danced with me for one song. And he was like, whatever, dancing with me. And I asked him, I was like, "How old are you?" Because, you know, I was 12. And he sighed, this deep sigh, and he's just like, 23. And I was like, oh. And I remember that's how old my brother was at the time. And my brother is 11 years older than me. And I remember just thinking, gross. Like, I didn't know he was that much older than me. I was like, 18, maybe. You know, and even then, I didn't know how much older he was. And when I found it out, I was so disgusted and like, also kind of sad, because I was like, oh, I liked him. I thought that we could date, but we can't because he's 11 years older than me and I'm a child. So then, that night, as like my mom's walking away, I'm like, oh, I'll be right there, gotta grab this. So I like go back and
I would also like to point out here, I really don't think that there was anything else my parents could have done. Sure, maybe it sounds like they were being irresponsible with my dad, like not being with me and my mom, and maybe with my mom being intoxicated, but you've got to keep in mind, they're on vacation. Like, they don't know, they think they're in a safe place, right? And that's the whole point of why I'm making this video, is just to prove that even though you're at some fancy resort and you're surrounded by a bunch of staff members, it doesn't necessarily mean that you or your children are safe. So I just wanted to point that out. Don't come for my parents. I really don't think they did anything wrong. And as for allowing me to dance with him, it was kind of like he was my Johnny Depp, right? Like, if I had the opportunity to dance with my celebrity crush, they would have let me. And that was kind of how they thought the situation was.
he is like, hey, Brooke, how about you meet me on the beach tomorrow? Yep, it was the night before we left. He was like, how about you meet me on the beach tomorrow before you go home, and make sure that your parents aren't around. Make sure nobody's around. And I was like, oh, okay. And I did. That next morning, I was like, I'm going down to the beach. You guys, listen, my parents are gonna sound like, oh, they weren't paying enough attention. And while that might have been true, how are they supposed to know? We were in a private, expensive, all-inclusive resort. Nobody left the resort. Like, our part of the beach was our part of the beach. Like, locals couldn't get on there, other tourists from other places. Like, it was very safe. It was very secure. It was okay if women or children went on the beach by themselves because it's an all-inclusive resort. Like, there are employees everywhere watching, making sure that nothing bad could happen. Right? Right? Right. I meet good old Raphael at this place that I got burgers all the time. Like, just one of the restaurants on the beach. And he looks around, sees nobody's around. He's like, where are your parents? And I was like, oh, they're up in the room. Then he slides his arm around my waist and he's just like, oh, okay, cool. I want to show you something. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Like, yeah, that's great. So he's walking around like a frickin' spy off of Spy Kids, and he's like, you know, looking around, looking through the corners, like walking super fast. And I'm just following him like, okay, like what's going on? And I didn't know what to say. I didn't know what to do. I was just kind of, I still had a crush on him because, like, you know, he was cute, but I was like, what's he doing? Because he was so much older than me, and I was like, he knows I'm 12. He knows. Like, I told him last night. He gets out a key and opens this door to the back room of this theater, like the sound room area. Actually, it was like some backstage part. I don't know what it was. And he sits down on this chair, and I sit down across the room from him in a different chair. Literally just like, so, what's your favorite color? What's your middle name? What's your favorite animal? Do you have a favorite number?
This is the final notice of a trigger warning for you guys.
Like, I was so nervous. I was so scared. I did not know what to do. And at this point, he had shut the door behind us. So, like, we're just sitting in this dark-ass, tiny room. And he's answering my questions, but he's all, like, slumped back in his chair. And he's like, oh, I'm so tired. I'm so tired. And I was like, to this day, it's like a trigger for me if a guy says, oh, I'm so tired. Or if he says it like that in some way, or says anything like that, really, because in my head, it brings me back to this moment, and I'm just like, no, you're not. You're not tired. You're just trying to do something, and I didn't know what it was, and I couldn't put any words to it, but I was like, he's not tired. He's trying to do something. And I just, I was so uncomfortable. I was so nervous. And so finally, little me kind of gets some courage, and I'm like, I gotta go. And he was just like, oh, okay, can I have a hug goodbye? And I was like, sure, okay, that's not bad, right? It was just a hug. So he stands up, he's so tired, and he gives me a hug. And I remember him smelling like BO. And it was so gross. And I remember thinking, this isn't how I thought he would smell. And I don't want to be here. He kind of like backs up or whatever, and I back up. And like, he's taller than me, you know, because he's 23. And I like look up at him as he's looking down at me, and he kisses me. And I'm like, shit. Because keep in mind, I've kissed one person, Shane, shout out, and I didn't know what to do. I didn't know that I kissed him back at first because I was like, holy shit, what do I do here? What if I don't kiss him back? What will he do? Like, will he get mad at me? What's gonna happen? I didn't know what to do, yo. I didn't. And I kissed him back at first, and then he kept kissing me. And then he turned me around, like he had his hands on my arms. He turns me around. He like pushes me up against a wall, and he's still kissing me. And I turned my head like this because I didn't want to kiss him. And he was like kissing my face and my neck and stuff. And he had his hands now, he had moved his hands from my shoulders to behind me on my butt. And he like put his hands into my pants, my shorts actually specifically. He put his hands into my shorts and was grabbing my butt. And I was still not kissing him, but I was frozen. I did not know what to do. And he started pulling down my shorts. And that's at the point where I was like, shit, I've got to stop this. So I said, I can't. And when I said I can't, dude starts panicking because he knows he's screwed if I say anything. So he's like, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay. And he's like telling me, it's okay, it's okay. And like pulling up my pants or my shorts. And he's just like, it's fine, it's fine. Let's go get you to your parents. My parents were literally like getting into the taxi to go to the airport when I got back to the hotel. And we get there and he's all happy and like nothing ever happened. He shakes my dad's hand, shakes my mom's hand, and he's like, oh, it was so good to have you at our resort. I hope you come back again. And they're like, oh, absolutely, man. It was a pleasure. Thank you so much. Like, because from the outside, he looked super helpful, super friendly and nice, just like extremely good at his job. And so my parents were like, thank you so much. You're so awesome. If only they had known what had just happened 30 minutes beforehand. And you guys, when I got home, I told all my friends, I didn't know what to do, but I wanted to tell them somehow. So I was like, I kissed a 23-year-old. And they were like, what, you did? And like, they didn't really grasp the seriousness of it. And I didn't tell my mom for years. And when I finally did tell my mom, she was so disgusted, so horrified, so disappointed in herself, in the whole situation. She told my dad, and my dad's not very violent, but he was like, I will kill him if I ever see him again. And the worst part was everybody in my family had known that I had a crush on this guy. So, like, all the time they'd be like, ooh, remember that guy? What was his name? Raphael? Oh yeah, that was it. You liked him so much. And I just had to sit there and take it and just be like, no, I don't like him anymore. Like, I couldn't say anything. And you know what's funny? To this day, it still happens and people still bring it up because they don't know this story. No, I wasn't raped. Yes, at first I kissed him back, and then when I came home, I bragged about it to my friends. But I was sexually assaulted in Mexico on vacation with my family at a nice, all-inclusive resort by a member of the faculty. A staff member at the resort was a predator, and he could still work there. He could still work in the industry. I don't know, because this happened 10 years ago. He could have actually raped me. He could have raped other people, other children who were at that resort, They were in charge of all the drinking games, you know? Maybe at some point he could have had his eye on some girl and got them extra super drunk, and they would have, you know, been intoxicated, and he would have taken advantage of them. Who knows? Nobody thinks that this could happen. You trust the employees of the establishment that you're at to take care of you, especially if it's a hotel. She just made me jump. Especially if it's a hotel, a resort. They're there to take care of you, to make sure that your every need is taken care of. You go to a restaurant with the hope and the confidence that they are preparing your food in a cleanly way, that your waitress will get you everything that you need, that the cooks aren't spitting in your food. You go there with that confidence. And you also go to a resort with the confidence that you are going to be more safe than you would at some, like, you know, rundown, cheap little, like, rinky-dink motel in the ghetto. I don't know if that's an offensive term, but you know what I'm saying. So guard your children. Guard yourself. Don't just assume that because they work there, everything they do is okay. It was disgusting. Right? And it messed me up for a while. And I couldn't tell anybody. I still can't bring myself to tell certain people in my life. The only people in my family that know, I think, are my parents and maybe like one of my sisters. That's it. Because I'm still embarrassed, feeling like I did something wrong, and I didn't. I did nothing wrong. I was 12. I didn't know. He was 23. And he did. He did know better. Like, the worst part of this is that I've been babysitting the same families for years. And I found them online, and they have trusted me with their children for some reason for like 5 years. All of the families that I work with, I found online. I was a complete stranger. And they interview me, kind of like reading the reviews on a like Yelp site for this resort. And then they trusted me with the lives of their children, just like my parents trusted the people at this resort to be good with their children. This is not my parents' fault at all. This is nobody's fault except that guy. So I just want you, if this happened to any of the girls, if this had happened, what happened to me would happen to any of the girls that I babysit, or boys. So please take what happened to me and make sure it doesn't happen to you or people that you love, because it could. And it does. And it will continue to. And unfortunately, because I never spoke up before, Rafael from Cozumel, Mexico, now, all right, nobody, like, go after Rafael in Cozumel. Like, whoever, I'm sure there are many, many Rafaels in Cozumel, but I don't know his last name or even the name of the resort that I was staying at, so... But thanks to me not speaking up, he probably did that to dozens of other girls. Women, too, maybe? I don't know. Or maybe it was just me because I'm so special and I was just such a smoking hot 7th grader with my braces and the braids in my hair. But I doubt it. That is all I have to say for today. Jen Dent just uploaded a video called like "Watch Out for Your Friends" or something like that, and it was about, my dog's under the tripod again, it was about how dog, passport, come on, get out of there, please, Pip. And it was about just like, don't let your friends get too drunk if you go on vacation with them, never let them leave the bar or the club alone or with another guy, or, you know, just things that you would think are common sense, but they're just not, especially when you're on vacation, when you're drinking, when you're having fun and you're in that party mindset. You're not thinking, oh, am I being safe? Is my best friend safe? It could even be like, you know how some resorts and cruise ships or whatever have like a kids section, and like they have like members of the crew working there so that you can just drop your kids off and then go party or whatever? What if he was working there with the children? Messes me up, because like I don't care. Like, I'm over it, okay? And I tell anybody who asks me about it. It's not something that I'm like hiding, obviously, except for my family, who doesn't even know to ask me about it because they didn't know what happened. But like, I've talked to my friends about it. I've talked to my coworkers about it. But like, I want to tell like the parents that I work for about it, because like, you can't just trust somebody because they've got a name tag, or because maybe they've gotten a background check. Just be careful with your kids. Keep them close, keep them safe. And obviously things are going to happen no matter what, but at least hopefully this has opened your eyes so that now you know, or you're more aware of the fact that it can happen even in a place that you think is good to go. Even on a private beach for rich ass people. If this has ever happened to you and you are brave enough to share in the comments below, please do. Please do. I think it's so important to share the really shitty stuff that happens to us so that other people can have their eyes opened in some way. Because, again, I would kill anybody who did this to my niece or one of the girls I work for. I would kill them. So I guess just keep an eye open if they are being a little more touchy-feely, or like when we were playing volleyball on the beach, he like came up and showed me how to hit the volleyball, even though I thought I was doing a pretty good job. And if I really needed help, my dad was right there. He could have helped me. So like, keep an eye on stuff like that. Or if every time they do a conga line in the swimming pool, if he always goes right behind your daughter. It doesn't just mean he's being friendly and inclusive. It could mean something much more sinister. So keep your eyes open. Have a fun, safe vacation if you go on vacation anytime in the near future. And, you know, follow me on social media. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.